and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name's Chris and it's fantastic to have you back with us for another video. And in today's video, we're going to have a look at Cardano. It's a very special day for Cardano. It's the Vassal hard fork and it's just a matter of hours away. By the way, I loved the intro. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions were on the intro down in the comments below. Now, we had our interview with Charles yesterday. I did take the time to ask the question, what should we expect from the Vassal hard fork? So we're going to have some clips. I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions on what we should expect and, you know, a little bit about what the Vassal hard fork actually is. So if you enjoy this sort of content, mash up the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed already, tap in that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video. And don't forget to jump in the Discord. It's absolutely free. Link is in the description of this video. I would love to see you there. Over 4,500 people talking about crypto 24/7, supporting one another, navigate the space safely. It's a fantastic community and I think it's definitely worth spending the time to go check it out. I don't think you will regret it. Okay, let's get down to the desktop. So we're going to start on coin market cap. Now the total market cap of all crypto is down 0.07% at the time of recording at $932.50 billion. And you know, it's been a very volatile market. Can't get my words out today. Very volatile, particularly yesterday with you know, the Fed announcements and all that wonderful stuff. So look, you know, we're on a little bit of a move up. I think it will be short-lived and we will be going down. Again, expecting lower lows, keep talking about this. Anyone that says that they, you know, the bottom is in and they truly believe that, you know, aren't looking at all of the indicators. So I just want to be really clear about that. Bitcoin at 19,254.13. Pretty stagnant. Obviously, it went down quite significantly yesterday and has recovered okay. Ethereum 1,309.71. Obviously, seen that drop almost 20% in the last 7 days after their upgrade, their merge. So yeah, interesting. But let's have a look at Cardano. It's currently up 0.93% at the time of recording, ranked 8th by market cap at 45 cents 73. Again, you know, I think this is a fantastic project, a great opportunity. I really do like everything that Cardano is doing right now. With all of that said, you know, I don't expect fireworks and lots of change once this hard fork is completed. And I think it'd be really interesting to sort of a little bit later on in the video dig into what Charles said around what we should expect. In the meantime, let's go and have a look at you know, what the hard fork actually is. So I found this article that tells you everything that you need to know about the Cardano Vassal hard fork upgrade. And yeah, it's interesting. So if we scroll down, and I will link this in our Discord. So here is what the actual hard fork upgrade is. So the hard fork represents a complete change to the network protocol, which is really interesting. Initially scheduled for June or July, the upgrade obviously was delayed. But in a nutshell, this is to help you know, network capacity, lower transaction fees, and make transactions faster. So, you know, there's a whole host of other changes within this upgrade that will make it, you know, user and developer friendly for the smart contracts and DApp development. So there's an awful lot going on when it comes to, you know, this particular upgrade. And again, it's just another stage. But the one thing that I would say when you compare Ethereum alongside Cardano is Cardano, you know, hasn't got all the bugs and all the issues to sort out, perhaps like Ethereum has, in my opinion, and it is very, very well placed, you know, particularly for the next bull cycle. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that in the comments below. But, you know, let's have a look and a listen to what Charles had to say when I asked what we should expect. Sure, you just mentioned the Vassal hard fork. What should people expect realistically from the Vassal hard fork upgrade?
So you don't do Twitter-driven development. And this is, I think, the biggest issue in our industry is that people develop for optics instead of just a methodical plan. it's funny. We tell everybody what we're going to do, and then nobody believes us, and then we do it, and then nobody believes us that we did it. And so years ago, we said, okay, for proof of stake, these are the things we're going to do step by step. And we publish all these papers and we go through the peer review process. And now we're turning the papers on, and everyone's surprised. Oh my God, they're turning them on. It's the same with the programming model. There's two ways you can do smart contracts. You can start like Ethereum did with a high level of expressiveness and then realize that that's a bad idea because you have a lot of attack vectors, and then gradually reduce the expressiveness over time to secure the system. And actually, in the very beginning, Bitcoin did that. Bitcoin script was much more powerful. And then they discovered very early on that there was all these exploits that could break Bitcoin. So they turned off a ton of stuff. So a great example would be the Bitcoin inflation bug, which created billions of Bitcoins out of thin air. And they very quickly patched that and said, we're never going to talk about it again. It was like one of those movies where they've buried bodies in the desert or something. And they're like, okay, we're just not going to go there. This never happened. We fucked up bad. So, these things occur. So the other side is to start with minimal expressiveness, which is what Bitcoin does today, and then gradually increase the expressiveness so you gain new capabilities. So in September of last year, when Alonzo came out, we introduced the extended UTXO model in Plutus, and that was enough to start the conversation of how does one build a dApp on Cardano. Then with the ecosystem, we worked hand in glove with hundreds of developers on dozens of projects like SundaeSwap and Wing Riders and all these others. We learned an enormous amount, and then that got translated into a standards process called SIPs. And we took a lot of great SIPs, SIP 31, 2, 3, et cetera, et cetera. And basically, these added more capabilities to the programming language. So Plutus version 2 is coming out, and a lot of improvements under the hood that basically make it significantly easier to build scalable dApps on Cardano. So a lot of the incumbents are rewriting their dApps to this new version. And a lot of people that were waiting to launch on Cardano now have the capabilities to do so, like the JED stablecoin, for example. That's an algorithmic stablecoin and so forth. So you should see a big boost in TVL. You should see also a lot of projects turning on, but this is really improving scalability. We made it faster with pipelining, so you can do more TPS, and also you can better utilize the transaction graph. But then also we made the transactions more efficient. So Ardano, for example, one of the projects launching on Cardano, they showed a 10x improvement, a 10x reduction in transaction cost and size inside the system just by going from version 1 to version 2. And that's kind of the magic of increasing expressiveness. The other thing is you get backwards compatibility because you still support all the legacy features, version 1, so you don't break any applications. When you go in the other direction where you start maximally expressive and you reduce, you actually have to break apps at some point. So it just makes more sense to ratchet up over time. And so this is hopefully something that we can do every year is through a standards-driven process working with dApp developers, keep adding more capabilities and functionality and efficiencies, and you just get more bang for your buck over time. The other really cool thing is that this model, UTXO, is really nice for state channels and off-chain transactions, accumulators and roll-ups and these types of things, which is where the industry is going. Everybody's starting to realize that this giant computer in the sky doesn't make a lot of sense. We're going to be doing a lot of offline computation. What matters is whoever does it, you're able to verify it was done correctly, and you can't be censored. That's what you care about inside the industry. You don't care that it was replicated 45 times by 45 people. You want to prove that no one tampered with it. It has my privacy guarantees and my accessibility guarantees and so forth. Well, with the UTXO model, you can go on-chain and off-chain very easily, and you can also batch and bundle things very easily. And we have 13 plus years of knowledge from the Bitcoin space with the Lightning Project and other things that kind of demonstrate that. So, Vossel is an enabler of a lot of really cool stuff, and it's a labor of love. We put in a huge amount of work into it. We probably spent 500,000 programming hours, on this thing. It's an enormous lift, and it took a lot of work and a lot of collaboration. And I'm real proud of it. But what's cool is it's just a natural upgrade because the hard fork combinator, the way we do upgrades with Cardano, on the 22nd when it's turned on, it'll just like be any other day. It's not this dramatic thing where people are biting their nails and going, "Oh God, what do we do?" It's just organic, and then suddenly all these dApps start showing up, and suddenly all these things start happening, and it's just another moment in the history of Cardano. But looking beyond that, it's also a collaborative model where we're getting better at working with the dApps and developers. And now that there's over 1,000 projects, the next Vossel, the next major fork, will be even better and even better. And that's what you tend to look for, is over a 3 to 5 year period. filter the noise out. How do you iterate and how do you develop? And by every metric, it's looking better. 50 million transactions have already occurred on Cardano. We're typically the top one or the top three for transaction volume, and by value. We continue to grow by users, social mentions, the most staked cryptocurrency in terms of ratio, like over 70%. So people keep saying bizarre things like ghost chain and no one's doing anything. But then suddenly there's like this huge ecosystem, and it's showing that it can upgrade itself in an organized, systematic way, in an evidence-based way. And also it seems to be future-proofed, because everything everybody else in the industry is trying to move towards, we already natively live there as an ecosystem, and we're just figuring out how to iterate in that respect.
So, Charles, do you think that it'd be a slow, steady sort of increase to the number of dApps? I see that there's over 1,000 dApps so far on the ecosystem.
I mean, if you go to Cardano Cube, you can see the list of them. And yeah, there's a lot of great projects. About 40% are in the NFT space. And we have probably about a half dozen good dexes now that are pretty efficient and they run efficiently. Like go to Sunday or Wing Riders, you get settlement in a matter of seconds or minutes. And reasonable liquidity for the projects. So there's already good infrastructure in that respect. So the really exciting stuff like algorithmic stablecoins and peer-to-peer lending, and especially in the microfinance world, that's kind of what Vossel is opening up, and that wave will bring a lot of TVL and will bring a lot of really interesting things to the conversation. So I think there'll be kind of a big spike within 3 to 6 months post Vossel, because there's a lot of people building who are waiting to deploy. And then there's going to be a gradual trickle of new things and update of things. But a lot of that is also contingent on the markets. In a bear market, people tend to be more conservative and they tend to spend more time polishing things. In a bull market, people just tend to launch lots of stuff, whether it's good or bad or ugly. They just launch because they want to capture as much value. So given that we're in a bear market and a lot of transition is occurring right now, that for everybody, Solana, Polygon, Ethereum, us, you're going to see less overall launching. But that said, there's tons of enthusiasm and a lot of excitement. And so it's pretty cool to see that. And honestly, I mean, if you get 10 or 20 really good dApps with great user experiences and a lot of customer acquisition, that literally could bring tens of millions of people in. So where we're at as an ecosystem, quality over quantity, it makes a lot more sense, especially given the consequences of quantity are all the security problems and a litany of regulatory issues and other things that we've seen with Tornado Cash and all this other stuff. So where we sit right now, we feel very comfortable and we're pretty much at capacity. Can't grow any faster. The ecosystem is showing signs of fatigue from, moving too quickly in some cases. So I think Vossel will be quite successful. But then, looking into 2023, 24, 25, the big challenges are governance. So we're having a big transition right now in the ecosystem to a members-based organization where we look more like in a traditional open source project like the Linux kernel or, like any of these things that people have like Apache or, big database projects or, things like Node, where, you have governance steering committee, technical steering committee, everything is done through GitHub and so forth. Because, it's all open code and it's under Apache license, but it's not structured in a way for external collaboration to be easy. So usually the collaborators are some of the core companies or dApp developers, but you don't get that organic open source stuff that comes in. That said, we've seen the flowers blooming for some things like that, like TX Pipe and Omigos and these other things that are community driven. That are pretty cool, but there needs to be more support and there needs to be more investment there. So post Vossel, there's kind of some people working on Plutus and making it better and faster, and people working on consensus and making it better and faster, and a lot of cleanup that's occurring. But then there's also a humongous effort in getting a members-based organization enabled and turned on so that we can collectively harness the tens of thousands of developers that are in the ecosystem and get them building into the system and speeding up a lot of these things, and also removing a lot of the rough edges. The interfaces need to be cleaned up. DB sync needs to be cleaned up. We need to make sure that exchanges have an easier time listing Cardano native assets. There's just tons of to-dos, and there's never enough time to do all of it, but there's definitely a demand for it. But the community's ready. I wanted to push out Voss a little sooner, And then the stake pool operator said, nah, we're not going to upgrade. We want to test it ourselves. So they kind of showed who's in charge of Cardano. And that's a good thing. You know, it shows you the amount of decentralization we've achieved, where there are tons of checks and balances and layers inside the system, yet we still can meaningfully come together and do massive upgrades on a yearly basis.
So there you have it. You've heard it from Charles Hoskinson himself, as to what we should expect for the Vassal hard fork upgrade. With all of that said, my take on it from what Charles said on the interview is that, it's going to be a steady pace of dApps growing onto the ecosystem, and we probably shouldn't expect too many big projects to be going live in a bear market. I'm really interested to get your views and opinions on everything that was said in these segments of the interview. And don't forget, we'll link the full interview down below in the description of this video for you to go watch the full 1 hour and 40-minute interview. It's very interesting. We get into lots of different aspects of regulatory impacts. Is there anything that is concerning around or troubling towards Cardano from a regulatory standpoint, and various other things? And also, could we see Solana and other chains become side chains on Cardano? We covered lots of different topics. It's definitely worth watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I would really appreciate it if you mash up that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Tap in that bell, selecting all the notifications so you never miss a video, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.